Hello everyone, welcome back to Just Another F1 podcast here on Apex Motorsport. My name is Richard Smyth and this is episode 26 of the podcast, and we've just had the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, Brazilian Grand Prix. There's been that many different names going around for it, but joining me to discuss that one is of course Craig Evans. Craig, thank you for coming back onto the podcast.
Thank you for having me back.
Going to throw you under the bus straight away. 3-word race review.
3-word race review. I think you've got to go for miles off. Oh, it's 4. Miles off Apex.
Miles off Apex is 3, so...
I was going to say miles off the Apex. But
okay, miles off Apex.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, we'll go with
it's on brand as well.
It is, very true. I think we'll just jump straight into talking about the incident of the weekend, the one that people are still talking about, and we'll go right into the next weekend as well, obviously, with a few new developments for that past few days, but it is, of course, that lap 48 incident between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Did he run him wide? Did he intentionally run him wide?
Of course he did.
Or was Hamilton just not going to get the corner?
Of course he ran him wide. You can't say he didn't run him wide.
It's something that's been debated a lot across social media, and I think the general consensus is the majority, well, I can't say majority of fans because it's very much, if you're a Hamilton fan, Verstappen fan, you have your own opinion, but
of course.
In generic Formula 1 where unbiased world, which is very rare on Twitter, but a lot of people...
Twitter unbiased? Yeah. Don't be silly.
A lot of people think that it deserved to be a penalty for Verstappen because previous laps you can see very clearly turn more to the left to go around the corner.
Yep.
And this it wasn't, but a lot of former drivers have come out and said that it's hard racing, and that if the policy when they were racing was put in now...
It's not though. It's not hard racing.
Yeah.
It's dangerous racing.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that if the current stewards were... if this incident was in the 90s, Prost would be a 5-time champion and Damon Hill would win the 94 championship, which I think Formula 1's at a very different point now than it was then. Racing is very different. Do you think that...
Well, the other thing is, those two incidents you've mentioned, both the drivers that went on, but both accidents resulted in 2 retirements.
Mm-hmm.
This was completely different.
Yeah. They're comparing a lot.
You can't really compare the two, to be fair.
No. This is a massive championship battle. It's seeing definitely 2 best drivers in the grid going head to head. We've seen them collide on 2 occasions this season, both sprint race weekends.
Yep.
It's something about a sprint race and Hamilton Verstappen incident. Do you think if there was a gravel trap there, or a wall, or even grass, that Verstappen would have done that, or do you think he was always going to do that at some point?
I think the thing is, the way I've always thought about it is the white line is the edge of the track. That's how I've always viewed the track limits debate. You put a wall there, if you're going over it, you're going to crash. You're not going to finish, are you?
No.
So to me, it should be judged as the white line is a metaphorical wall, and if you go over it or you touch it, you deserve a penalty because you've gone off the track. The incident, the lap 48 incident, for me, it was a clear-cut penalty because he ran him. He didn't just run him off the track to stay on the track himself.
Yeah. He
ran him off the track and continued to push him off the track till they were about 2 track widths off the apex. You can't do that. And the fact that the stewards at the time didn't investigate it, I think is absolutely criminal. Because if you're a young racer and you see that and you think, he got away with that, I might do that in my next race, you're going to hurt someone.
I think that we've always seen this new onboard footage that clearly shows Verstappen not turning as much to the left as he has done in previous laps, and because he didn't do that, he drifted wide, and obviously Hamilton was on his outside.
That's a whole different kettle of fish, though.
Yeah.
Why did it take them 3 days to release that footage?
Very true.
When it's the most common camera angle on an F1 broadcast.
It cut away just before that happened, which, let's say, there's been a lot going on between the stewards, Red Bull, Mercedes over this weekend and the past few weeks, and a lot of Red Bull trying to pick up every small thing Mercedes do. Mercedes trying to hit back with larger evidence and going, well, they've done this the past 3 races, why can we? And we're seeing a very different side to both teams. But we'll go before we move on to that, we'll go back to the actual Hamilton Verstappen incident. Mercedes have obviously issued a right to review the incident.
Yep, when the new evidence came out.
Yep. So does that mean they'll get Nick de Vries to go round Interlagos a couple of times to recreate it?
Yeah, recreate the incident.
But that may mean there's going to be a penalty for Verstappen. Michael Massey come out.
I can see a 5-second penalty being applied post race. I can see it happening because it can technically still happen.
Yeah. The point I'm thinking is when the classification has been released.
Yep.
Was it not always a case of as soon as that's released, that's it over? Because I always know that when the trophies is handed out, that's it done.
I don't know, because I think this case will set a few precedents, and I think we're going to see something come of this appeal that Mercedes have lodged, because the clear evidence is Max ran Lewis off the track. If Christian Horner says there's nothing wrong with that, it's hard racing. Mm-hmm. Surely Silverstone was hard racing when Lewis just
dived up the inside, pushed Verstappen wide.
Surely that's hard racing as well.
I think it's very much roles reversed with the Silverstone incident. The only difference is Silverstone ended in a very heavy, scary impact for Verstappen. Obviously, given that you were 8 car whips off the apex going into that, and you had probably the same amount of room the other side, he knew that he could get away with it.
It's just a dangerous precedent, and I think the FIA not penalising it has opened up a can of worms. And this is coming from someone that wants to see the championship go to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
I'm not a die-hard Hamilton fan. I'm not a die-hard Verstappen fan.
Yeah.
I want to see a great championship, and I just think you've got to be fair in the rules. That's what I said to you at the other day. It's like, we think all the way back to Austria. Perez and Norris, very similar. Yeah. Norris was on the inside, ran Perez wide off the apex. Perez went into the gravel trap, loses a load of positions, 5-second penalty for Norris. What is the difference?
I was watching just earlier today Julian Palmer's analysis of the incident, and the point he made was we can't exactly compare these to the incidents like the Perez Norris one, because in that case the driver who was pushed wide
severely
was pushed wide. Obviously the end of race, so they lost multiple positions, but they were pushed just to the edge of the track, and on the curb they were still on it. The other car was still on track. This time both cars were solid 5-6 car whips off the apex. And I think if this is where Red Bull, if they come out and say, well, we have telemetry analysis to say that Verstappen actually locked up his tyres going into that, which wasn't the case because you couldn't see that.
And you can quite clearly see Max is not at full lock until he's nearly off the track.
Yeah. If it was a case of, and if Red Bull have evidence of Verstappen clearly understeering, which is highly unlikely given usually when you see a lock-up, you see smoke coming up from the tyres. That didn't
even
happen.
oversteer, you wouldn't oversteer that far wide.
Yeah. Especially when it's major coincidence that your championship rival is about to overtake you after an incredible comeback drive, which we'll get on to in a minute.
Let's not forget, it's not the first time Max ran a Mercedes off the track that weekend, because he did do it to Bottas at the start of the race. He ran him clean wide and turned right going into a left-hand corner to bump him out of room.
I'm just amazed that both the two title challengers finished the race. Yeah,
so am I, to be fair. When it was lap 4 or 5 when Hamilton was right on the back of the podium. I can remember saying to you, I was like, this is gonna end badly. There's gonna be a crash.
Yeah, it's a case of when, not if.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, especially with the stat going around the past 2 sprint races, that there's been a major crash that's involved at least one of the two title challengers being put out of the race, that we were expecting something.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Don't quite think anyone was expecting this.
No.
And I've said this point to you before, this championship will now be decided probably in court at the end of the season, if there's another big incident.
Well, what I can see happening is, should Mercedes go on to win the next two, I have a funny feeling Merc will give Hamilton another fresh power unit, or this one, as you said, was designed to run 4 races.
4 races, yeah.
Max tilt. I can see Red Bull appealing the legality of the Mercedes car, because it's what Red Bull do.
Yeah.
I mean, not being funny, it's what Mercedes do. It's like people moaning at Mercedes for appealing the Max thing. In a championship that's so close, every little helps is going to get you points. It's going to get you close to the championship. If Max does get a 5-second penalty, that's a 4-point swing in both championships. That would take the gap from him to Hamilton down to 9.
Yeah.
Or, no,
10.
down to 10. And it would take the constructors' gap down a further 4. So it's huge for Mercedes. They're stupid not to appeal it.
Yeah. Because if Red Bull won the Mercedes has said they want to win the both championships on the track, and I think their statement, what was the incident? Oh, it was whenever Hamilton was given his disqualification.
Yeah, when they said they weren't going to appeal it.
Yeah, because they want to win the championships on track. That for me was the moment that Mercedes were like, right, this isn't Mercedes we usually see. This is Mercedes that know they're going to win this championship at all costs. It's the same as Red Bull. They will do anything they can to win the championship, and if that's taking Mercedes to court, they will.
Yeah.
And
I think the other reason Mercedes made such a point of not appealing it, had they appealed it, Hamilton then started from pole, and then the car was then found to be illegal, then he'd be disqualified from the race, and he would not have a chance to redeem himself, as he spectacularly did in the sprint race and the actual race. So I think the whole non-appealing thing was quite clever from Mercedes.
Mm-hmm. And I think this the right to review sort of sprung out of nowhere. It's weird because I didn't expect them to do that.
I did not expect it. I did not expect to see that coming at all. But then the minute that new evidence came out, and it was quite clear that that Max didn't turn in. I think they were always going to appeal it, because the thing I can't get my head around is why it took the FIA 3 days to release that onboard footage. That's the bit I can't quite grasp.
I don't really understand that, the way it does take them so long, because especially like Sky One, their F1 race control, whatever, they have access to all onboards, which I thought was the case, unless they were told do not release this footage, or this is something that we'll have to look at after. But it's weird, because you would expect that, given it's such a big moment, that would be released straight away.
It's the fact the stewards declared it wasn't even worthy of an investigation without seeing the footage.
Yeah.
How can you declare it's not worthy for investigation if you can't see the footage?
Because I remember seeing it, from the race direction, the TV, and it didn't look like they were running wide until you got that wider shot.
Yeah.
Because it just looked they were going side by side around the corner, and next thing you know, you're not actually on track. You're closer to the grandstand than you are the actual track.
Yeah.
So it's a weird one. I think not reviewing it during the race, from the stewards' perspective, is probably the easier option, because they know how big this is for the championship.
Yeah.
But
it's opened up a whole can of worms, them not actually looking at it.
Yep, I know this weekend, it would be the Thursday, the media day, Mercedes have been called for the review. Whether or not it goes ahead, that's a different story. By the time this podcast out, you may already know the answer to that. We're recording this as we don't exactly know just yet. Could you see, if the stewards turn around and go, we're not going to look at this, is that where the Court of Appeal comes in for Mercedes? That this could is it worth it for Mercedes? Because
it depends how hard they want to push this angle of appealing everything. I think Mercedes definitely will have the upper hand in Qatar, and to an extent Saudi as well. I just really don't want to see this championship turn into they said this, they said that, they said this, which is what it's kind of gearing towards, because Red Bull appeal anything and everything the Mercedes are doing.
You've just got two very competitive teams with two very competitive team principals that will do anything to win, because they were employed with the one job to win championships. So obviously Red Bull want to go back to their glory days. Mercedes have had an incredible run, and it's been an incredible championship battle so far. In my opinion, it's been one of the best of the hybrid era.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
There hasn't been too many title battles in that 7 years, it's first involving a Red Bull driver in a long time, since probably Vettel left.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, it's probably since 2013.
13, yeah.
Yeah.
We somehow managed about 14-15 minutes talking about the two drivers.
Yeah.
Obviously Hamilton was helped. Well, we need to talk about Lewis Hamilton. What a fantastic weekend he had.
By far one of the best comeback drives I can remember since probably Sebastian Vettel, 2013 in Abu Dhabi. Disqualified from qualifying, 20 pit lane start up to third, then had a crash, back down to 21st, then back up onto the podium again.
It was incredible, and credit to whoever was able to find a tweet from, I think it was the Formula 1 account from Barcelona 2012, where Hamilton was disqualified from qualifying.
Yes.
I caught a lot of people. I didn't actually see the tweet, but I seen a lot of people talking about it.
Do you follow Steve Brown, Super GC on Twitter? Yep, he caught me out with that. Yep, there we go.
This is not the first thing he's caught people out with.
Oh no, you got to be careful.
Yes, but no, this was obviously a sprint race weekend, and because of that, we had qualifying on Friday night, which again thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah,
I did have to watch it on my phone in a football stadium. Somehow, the one night there was actually mobile signal in the stadium, which was incredible.
Stars aligning.
Yes, it was brilliant, and you can probably work out which football stadium that was based on an accent. But I didn't actually get to watch qualifying properly, like concentrate on it. I was able to see it, but what an incredible lap from Hamilton. Obviously, he got disqualified from it.
Yeah,
by 2 millimeters of DRS flap.
0.2 millimeters. So not talking the width of human hair.
Yeah.
Don't know how Joe Bauer's seen that.
No.
The man is superhuman with his notepad and pencil.
Yeah, but that's why he's got the job.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he's employed to do. Nice big bonus coming from him, probably from a certain energy drink company, possibly.
Not controversial at all.
Yes, they're. Yeah,
it's that point in the podcast where
the listeners are gone.
Yeah,
this is us two talking to yourselves.
Proper getting down to the serious thing.
Yes. For completely gone off topic there. Sprint race. Hamilton disqualified from qualifying. That meant he had to start the sprint qualifying, which is a race but not a race. From P20 on the grid.
Yep. I
was expecting him to maybe get. I said if he can get into the top 10, that would be a great drive. Obviously, he had the 5-place grid penalty for the new ICE as well,
which I think saved his bacon this weekend.
Yeah. Obviously made his life a little bit more difficult in terms of where he was starting. But in sprint qualifying, he managed to get up to 5th place, which was incredible.
In 23 laps?
23 laps, yeah. Or 24 laps.
24.
15 places gained.
1.6 places a lap.
Like, in fairness, a lot of the early drivers are moves you would expect, but that move on Lando Norris was incredible.
Yeah. No, I think we're seeing that point of the season now where Hamilton is in that. He's in that untouchable zone. Yeah. We haven't seen him this fired up for a long time, and I for one can't wait for the next few races.
I said to you and I said to Ryan just before sprint qualifying happened that this penalty will either let us see the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton or the Lewis Hamilton that can't handle the pressure.
We haven't seen that one for a long time.
Yeah, and we definitely seen 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton this weekend.
100%.
And to the point where I felt like the entire weekend, as soon as sprint qualifying started and he gained 3-4 positions in the first.
Well, I said to you, I was pretty certain that this penalty was championship over.
Yeah, I
think
agree
we were both pretty certain.
Yeah,
that's the championship over. And I've seen some Red Bull team members on social media saying, after it was announced the Hamilton penalty, we were pretty confident we'd be leaving with a 30-point gap.
Yeah,
they're leaving with a 13-point gap.
Yeah, even to the point of Crofty said just before sprint qualifying that Red Bull are likely to be the first team to ever extend their championship lead after qualifying.
Yeah.
Because they were expecting Verstappen, Perez, that's driver rumours going around. Definitely not. For Verstappen and Perez to be on the podium, which would give them 4 or 5 points, depending where they finish.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Where Mercedes and both could have got 3 with Bottas.
Sainz kind of ruined their fun.
Yeah, he did.
After a lightning start.
And in fairness to Valtteri Bottas, very good start.
Superb drive.
Done exactly what I needed to do, and it could be a glimpse of Bottas. He can still do it. Just that consistency is what.
I genuinely think the upper hand Merc are going to have if they do go on to win this title is the fact that they are working as a unit at the minute. You saw that with the swap with Bottas during the race where he stopped pretty much on the start-finish straight to let Hamilton through. And I just don't think Red Bull have that team unity for Perez to do that.
I think they have the better driver pairing overall. Like Bottas Hamilton I think is a good pairing, but Perez just brings out a little bit more than Bottas.
Perez can run longer on the tyres, which is his main talent.
But I think this is where Hamilton and Bottas working together for so long is going to pay dividends for them.
Yeah.
And I think Bottas will want to go out to say that, well, actually, every season I was with Mercedes, I won the championship.
Yep.
Which for him would be an incredible stat to say. Obviously, he hasn't won a championship himself, and I think he's definitely out of the running altogether, like points wise. It's only Hamilton.
Yeah, he's just 2-horse race now.
Yeah, which has been all season long. But
pretty much, yeah.
But the sprint qualifying, yes or no? Or do you think we need to see more next season?
My biggest concern is what we saw in Brazil has papered over and plastered over a lot of cracks. Mm-hmm. It's a bit like in getting an old house. Mm-hmm. You've got a lovely old feature wall, but it's full of cracks. There's damp. There's everything all running down the wall. Yeah. It's falling apart. But you've just got really nice wallpaper. You've plastered over it, and it's fine.
Yeah,
that's what I think Brazil's going to have done. Because where was the first one? Silverstone.
Yes.
Silverstone and Monza didn't work.
Yeah. So Silverstone worked because I was there from a fan's perspective. It was a brilliant weekend, but from a fan's perspective.
From a fan's perspective, from a global audience perspective, it hasn't worked.
Yeah, because I've watched back the sprint race from Silverstone and
Monza. They were both bloody boring.
We were sitting in car park at Alton Park.
Well, it was media. Yeah, you're right.
Sitting in the car park in the lunch break watching it. I think you fell asleep at one point.
I did. Yeah. I did fall asleep at one point, yes. Yeah. But Brazil has papered over, and again, it's what I said about Silverstone. You take Alonso's start out of it.
Yeah.
Is it a great format? Silverstone, we said no.
Mm-hmm.
With Brazil, you take Hamilton's charge through the field back, say he's starting up at the front.
Yeah.
Would it be as good? No, because did anyone else make many moves in that sprint race?
Not that I can remember off.
There were a couple of 1 or 2s, but there were no... Yeah. But don't get me wrong, Brazil has been the best of the 3.
Yes, by far.
But I have a funny feeling it's only papering over certain cracks.
I think it has reopened that debate of reverse grid races. But then the problem with reverse grid races is you're getting early on in the race... Or no, it's not a race, qualifying earlier on in the session. You're having Hamilton trying to overtake Verstappen and going down the championship order where he's then overtaking Mazepin for the race one, which.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that depends on how they'd work it.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Maybe they could do. I think it would work well if they did what what do you call it? World Superbikes do, and I think British Superbikes as well. They just reverse the top, and then Formula 2 do it as well, and Formula 3 they reverse like the top 8 or 10, and you're getting the championship. You know, the people that are usually going for the title to be up there fighting from 10th. So you're getting the drivers who are usually fighting down the back having their own battle as usual, but people who run usually together fighting for ones.
The problem I've got with the sprint race is qualifying didn't need changing. If you want to bring in new fans, you find more innovative ways of doing that. You don't change what's been an age-old recipe and the one that's worked for years just to try and get some more excitement going. You bring in new races, yes, but you don't rearrange qualifying. There's no need to in my book because the qualifying works. Yes, I like it on a Friday. Do we bring in another race on a Saturday? Yes, but it shouldn't dictate the grid. The grid should still be set by that qualifying session on the Friday.
Get rid of FP3, move qualifying to the morning, and then put quali in the afternoon. Then the race.
Yeah.
That's one option.
Whole different kettle of fish though, that.
Yeah. I still think bring back knockout qualifying because it was spectacular.
Oh, that definitely works.
Yeah. Well, I think Norris has said one-shot quali on a Friday for sprint races. Which could be interesting.
I'd like to see that. That'd be interesting to see.
Especially around Monaco. But I don't want a sprint race around Monaco.
No.
No. The grid for next season has been set. I'm sure we'll do a video at some point discussing the entire grid. Everyone is there. But the final seat, I think last podcast me and Ryan done, we said, I've got off topic very quickly, Otmar Safnauer was heavily linked to Alpine. We said at the end of the podcast that we were going to discuss it in this one if it came true, and he's denied it.
Yet. Which in F1 terms means it's probably going to happen in a couple of weeks.
Just like Audi buying out McLaren. Because
that went well, didn't it?
Well, I think there is early discussions, but nothing more than that.
That's...
But then technically we can phone up, say, we're looking to buy your team, and that's early discussion. Yep. We're
heard it here first. Apex looking to buy McLaren.
Yes. Be a profitable company within 5 years or something like that.
Yeah, of course. We can offer you a tube of Smarties and something else.
Yeah, well
something else we can find while we were desperately looking at the desk in front of us.
Yes. The desk, in fact, doesn't have a tube of Smarties.
There's one downstairs though.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, there we go.
There's even one just sitting over there.
Oh, two tubes then.
Yeah. But back to driver news. Antonio Giovinazzi has gone to Formula E with Dragon Penske. Penske. The slash always annoys me. It should be Dragon Penske.
Yeah.
And Guan Yu Zhou has bought the seat effectively.
Yeah.
30 million.
30 million.
Obviously it was
for 1 year.
Yeah.
Because I think he knows that Pourchaire's going into that car.
Yeah.
In a year's time.
Yeah, I agree with that. Whether he's ready or not, I think he's second in Formula 2, which is higher than I thought.
Yeah, I think he's pretty far up there. The thing that I loved with the whole Giovinazzi, Dragon, and Guan Yu Zhou announcement, Alfa Romeo announced it as the Chinese Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Guan Yu Zhou joining the team for 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally within 30 minutes, Antonio Giovinazzi announced, I'm going to Dragon. You can't use that. I'll have that as well. I just thought it was all poetic in some form of the word.
I think tweet of the week goes to Will, who's been featured on the channel a few times, by going, Guan Yu Zhou joining Alfa Romeo next year shows that if you put your mind to something, you can always achieve it, as long as you've got 30 million in the bank.
Yes.
It's very true. He's probably going to be another driver who will be run down the back of the grid next year, but he obviously has got enough talent to get to where he is. Money has helped that, but
yeah, I think that's just the nature of the sport, though. You're going to get money seats, and if he's not good enough, someone will buy his seat in 2 or 3 years' time.
You can buy a seat in a sport, but you can't buy a super license.
Yeah.
And his talent shows that he's rarely against super
Unless
license.
you're Maverick Rangunathan.
Yeah, but he's the elite driver.
Yes.
Yes, the only person I know that can go from last to P1 in Monaco and still crash out by the end of the first lap by totally cutting that first corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
It will.
I don't think he's ever had too many standout drives, but the Formula 2 grid this year has been quite poor in terms of talent. There's a lot of, I think next year with the F3 drivers having that second year, the F3 drivers have moved up. It'll be a little bit more competitive.
Piastri and Porcher are setting it on fire at the minute.
Yeah, Piastri obviously is now Alpine's reserve driver. I've seen the tweet and thought, well, what's going on here? He's been signed as a
I woke up,
driver.
saw that tweet and thought, hang on, who've they got rid of?
Yeah.
I just missed the word reserve in the tweet,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's extremely interesting.
Which means Daniel Kvyat without a reserve seat next year.
Yep. He'll be going to Ferrari for their Le Mans programme.
He second time he's been with Ferrari.
Yep. I think.
Yep. Kvyat, Giovinazzi and Valentino Rossi hypercar programme.
That's not a bad driver.
With a second team of Piastri, Aylot and Oliver Bierman, your favourite GB3 driver, Italian Formula 4.
Moving on very quickly
yes.
before this gets any form of legally dangerous.
But yeah, well, move on to predictions now. Don't think there's we haven't talked too much about the race itself, but apart from the battle, it was a good race, but there wasn't too much.
It wasn't bad. I mean, it was good. Sao Paulo usually delivers cracking races, and this was a good one.
Yeah. Trying to find the notes I had from last time for the predictions.
Let's just quickly talk about Ferrari putting a pretty hefty stranglehold of 35 points now.
Yeah. They were
over
very
McLaren.
impressive.
What was it? 5th, 6th? 5th and 6th.
Yeah.
McLaren only scoring 1 point with Norris in 10th. Ricciardo retiring. Did you know Ricciardo actually, with his retirement, ended the second longest run streak of consecutive finishes in the history of the sport?
The second longest.
Yep. 34 races in a row. Hamilton's got the longest.
That was from Austria 2018,
to
the race before my first race at Silverstone. Because I always remember that. And there was it Austria this year or which race did he finish but not in the points? That broke the record as well.
Yeah.
I can't find the predictions from last time. I think they're actually on a piece of paper somewhere, which I do not have. But then, as I said last podcast, we're going to not tell you the results of the predictions each week to the end of the season to add a lot of tension and hype before we take each other to the Court of Appeal over about 18,000 incidents. But we'll do our predictions for Qatar, brand new race. What's your thoughts of that?
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's a great track for superbikes.
Mm-hmm.
It looks... There doesn't look like many hard braking zones. But it looks like an interesting track. It's fast. It's going to be a fast track. And then, of course, we've got Saudi 2 weeks after.
And then
longest and quickest track on the calendar, isn't it?
We've just seen the F1 2022 footage from that. 21
footage.
The
qualifying's going to be mega, let's put it like that. If you haven't seen the footage, I strongly recommend you go and watch it.
Yeah, it's going to be a quick track. I think we'll not really know until we actually see it if it gets built in time. F1, I think today admitted that they were slightly concerned.
Well, Bahrain's in as a backup.
Mm-hmm.
Bahrain is fully prepared to host.
Just have the outer track.
Yeah.
Just 100 laps.
Yeah.
Because I want to see Hamilton on the outer track.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be incredible. Proper. That's a sprint race.
Yeah.
Just going, literally cars driving around in circles.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. Right. Pole position for the Qatari.
Yeah,
Qatar
I think
Grand
it would
Prix.
be. I think it would be
Qatar.
The
Qatar
Qatar
Grand Prix.
GP.
I don't know what F1 are calling these races because.
Well, we'll see the hashtag when it comes out.
Yeah, but this was
properly.
the Sao Paulo Grand Prix using the Brazil Grand Prix hashtag.
Yeah, they made a bit of a boo boo on that one.
Sky were running with Sao Paulo Grand Prix,
Yeah.
Formula One, we're calling the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, but
You use it in the hashtag Brazilian Grand Prix on Twitter.
On all the steers documents, it had Brazilian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So
who knows?
The
Lucky Dip Grand Prix.
Yes. I think that's what they should do. Final race of the season. Every track goes into a hat and they pick one out, and that's where they're racing the final race of the season.
Yeah, apart from Monaco.
Yes, that's not.
Love Monaco, but it's a different.
Yeah,
it's a different thing.
Yep. So, pole position for the Grand Prix of Qatar. We're going to call it that.
Lewis Hamilton.
Okay.
I think the form Merc are in, the form Lewis is in. He's going to be hard to beat.
Okay, I would say Lewis as well, but I want to be different. I'm gonna go Bottas.
Yeah, I could see it being a Merc. Definitely being a Merc.
I can see Bottas taking pole. I can't see him taking any more wins purely for the fact of swap around the drivers.
Yeah, 100%.
No, that's completely stupid. I was gonna say if Bottas is winning, Hamilton third, would they swap them around? But that would just give Verstappen an easy one.
Well, yeah, it depends who's in. Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to think the points difference, it wouldn't make much of a difference.
No, it wouldn't be.
No. So your race winner?
Hamilton. Again, I think this is the kind of track where that W12 is just gonna love. It's gonna love it.
Gonna have to join you with Hamilton on that one.
Podium. Red Bull are gonna have to go. Have got a tough weekend ahead of them, I think.
Podium.
Championship's sake, you've got to go Hamilton, Max, Bottas.
Okay. I'm gonna go Verstappen. Charles Leclerc.
Interesting.
Fastest lap.
Perez. The fastest lap, or whoever's not on the podium out of the big four.
I'm gonna go controversial, go Pierre Gasly, purely for the fact that I think there'll be a phone call down to AlphaTauri at some point.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
And your wild card.
Wild card. I don't know, really. It's been such a weird season. I don't really know what else we could do for wild cards. I'm going to say one of the big teams to not get a car through Q1.
Not through Q1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like maybe a Ferrari or someone getting stuck in Q1.
Are we going current Constructors' Championships down to which? Was it like down to McLaren?
I'd say down to McLaren.
Top four big teams.
Top four big teams, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go UK Tsunoda, top 7 finish.
Interesting.
Yeah.
After he tried to murder Stroll at turn 1.
Yep. But any final thoughts on the race in Sao Paulo?
No, I just think I thought it was a decent weekend, very entertaining weekend for Formula One.
Yep.
Hyping it up, lovely. It's coming to the boil as we come to the end of this championship. I'm looking forward to it. We should have a cracking championship running, and hopefully it goes to the very last race of the season.
Yeah, and if it does, I think it will nicely cap off the current era of regulations as well, because we don't know what's going to happen next year. We may have a Haas-Williams championship battle for all we know. Anything is possible.
Who knows with next year? Honestly, I don't think anyone does.
But yeah, Craig, thank you again for joining me for this podcast.
Thank you for having me back again.
We're going to end this.
Allow me to ramble on.
Yeah, it's been good. I think Ryan hasn't told me how many Mazda spins this week. He said none last week, and he didn't have any.
I don't think he
did. That I was
no.
aware of. So I'm not sure what Ryan's going to say, but I'm going to do on his behalf. I'm going to go Mazda spin, no spin again, because I think he's done that 3 podcasts in a row. So we're going to continue that on. But yeah, Craig, thanks again for joining me, and to everyone listening. This is our 26th podcast, which I didn't realise last week was the 25th podcast, which is quite crazy to think about. It was around this time last year that we started covering the final few races of the season, so final 5 races last season, or 4 we done. But anyway, yeah, it's been great doing every race this season, and next season we don't know. Well, the podcast will be there, but may change it up slightly. We don't quite know yet. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll hope you join us all for the next one next week for the Qatar Grand Prix. Goodbye.
Goodbye.